So in my last video, I took one knockoff and made 3 things out of it, but today I'm doing the opposite. 3 things are going into making one outfit. Hello everybody, welcome to Catherine Sews. Thanks so much for joining me today. I bought 3 pieces at the thrift store that are all fine. Like this t-shirt is pretty okay, I would wear this. And then this kind of tunic-y thing, which is kind of cute. It has pretty sleeves. I don't think I would wear it as a tunic though, or as a short dress, or whatever it's meant to be. But there's also this little V-neck number, which again, I don't think I would wear it exactly as is, but it has potential. The main reason I thrifted all of them together is because I just really liked how all 3 fabrics look together. So I thought if I take the parts that I like of each of them and put them together, would I have a decent finished product? Like, can I make a early spring sort of daytime dress out of this? I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to end up with here. This is an experiment. So I think from the t-shirt, I kind of like the body. It's comfortable. It's just fine. And then I do like the sleeves on this one. If I attach the sleeve to there, maybe create some kind of a skirt-ish thing with layers of these 2 and have a comfy daytime dress. Does that sound good? You know what? We'll see. So if that sounds good to you, let's get busy. I have to make sure that I don't look too frumpy in the final result, or too much like a little girl, or too pregnant. So I'm looking for inspo and not really finding much at all. So now it's playtime. I've just got everything on sort of layered in a weird way. And I've kind of put some clips, one at the back, to sort of keep this waist a little bit up and a little bit ruched on the sides, and then the t-shirt on top with little clips here. I'm trying to make a kind of a square neckline. Like, I won't cut it square, I'll cut it sort of deeper but still round, but then put this ruching in the corners to make it go square. And then the skirt part, I thought it might be nicer to make vertical sections of the 2 different fabrics. I'll alternate with sections of this one. At this point, it's all an experiment. No guarantees on this one, but we'll try. So before I take it off, I'm just gonna mark where I want that neckline to end up. I think that'll be okay. I'll take the sleeves off the t-shirt and I'll cut the sleeves off the dress. Sew those 2 together and start assembling the skirt. If it goes well, it'll go quickly, right? It's not a massive job that I'm taking on here. It's just, you know, a lot could go wrong. We'll see. So I think I'll just start by cutting off these sleeves. Okay, so there's that. And then cutting off these sleeves. There we go. So already I think that's looking cute. So I'll mark on the inside where I think I would put that ruching. And I'll neaten these lines up once I cut the neckline down, but that is the idea. Now I'm folding the shirt in half. I'm bringing the 2 shoulder seams together here so that I've got it folded symmetrically. And now I think I'll just be cutting off the back band. But there's the mark of where I wanted it to go down to. Good, so with it folded nice and symmetrically and nice and smooth like that, I want to make sure I've got a right angle here at the center front. And then when that gets scrunched, the idea is that it'll make it go more into a square neckline. So now I need a new way to finish off that neck edge. And so since I'm just, going to be ruching the sides, pushing this all up, that must mean that I've got some extra around the bottom that I can use. However, it is cut in sort of a curved hemline. So that means that new neckband will have to come about here, which I think still gives me enough room in the sides. I would just want it a little bit more than an inch, maybe 1 1/4 inches, 3 centimeters. Alrighty, so this is what I have left of the t-shirt. Not bad. Okay, time to try this on. See if I need to bring it in at the sides at all, because it should fit pretty snug. And then make sure that this is working. I think it's just time to try it on. Okay, so I tried it on. It's pretty good. And so a plan has formed. I'll be taking in the sides a bit just at the top. I'm going to leave the bottom, like the waist, as wide as it is, which isn't super wide, but it's fine. And then I'm going to have rows of elastic sewn this this way. So the gathering will go this way along this little kind of midriff section instead of gathering it up the sides like I was originally thinking. I think that makes more sense. And then the little sections of gathering here, I just moved down. So those are my new lines, and it makes it quite cute. It makes it look like a little strap. I think it's going to be pretty. I think I better finish off the neckline pretty early on. Otherwise, it's going to be getting stretched out, and I just want to get that nailed down. But that'll kind of have to happen almost at the same time that I set the elastic in here, because I want the elastic tucked in to the neck finishing there. And so I found some elastic in my stash. If I were doing this just for myself, I would use black elastic, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And so now with my new line, I just want to make sure it is symmetrical. So I'm bringing that neckline back together, matching up the shoulder seams, and I'm going to put a pin right where this line is. It's a little bit messy, and I'll just compare that to the other side, and then I will split the difference. I'll just put a little notch here and here and down here. So that should make them pretty symmetrical, and I can just run my elastic from notch to notch. So the neck edge. So here is my neckline folded in half. There's the front over here, back over there, and I've got the two shoulder seams coming together there, just so I can easily look at what half of the neckline is, and I can make it symmetrical. For the neck band, it's just a little bit extra long. It's going to have two seams because I didn't have enough t-shirt knit to make just one continuous piece. So I want to make sure that those seams land in a logical place. I don't want a seam on the whole front. So here we go. I'm putting the seam of the neckband right to that shoulder seam. I like to cut a neckband 75% of the whole circumference. However, it gets a bit tricky when I've got to place two seams. So there is the measurement for half my front. So my neck edge here is 10 inches. That's 50% of the front because it's folded in half. And so I want another 5 inches. So I'll cut it at 15 inches over here. And then for the back, that's measuring, I think we could call that 6 inches. So 6 inches is half of the back neck. So that means I want another 3 inches, another half as much again. So 3 inches out there. Okay, there we go. Good. So now that neckband can be joined right side together. I'll just give a little serge there, or you could sew. And then while I've got my top folded in half like this, I'm going to start the quarter marking. So quarter marking means that I want to divide this into 4 equal sections, which is just going to help so much to get that neckband on evenly. So I'm putting a tiny notch at the center back. While I've got it folded like this, now is the time to do it. And a tiny notch at the center front. Because the neck is bigger at the front, the shoulder is not the halfway point. I have to find the halfway point by bringing my new front notch to my back notch. So with my center front and center back notched together, now I can find my halfway point, and it's quite far ahead of the shoulder seam. With those 4 notches, my neckline is now quarter marked. I'm just going to serge the little neckband and come right back. So I just serged that little seam, and now I need to quarter mark the neckband. So again, these 2 seams are going to go on the back neck. So I'm going to bring those 2 together and find the center back. Those folded like that, and a little notch on both sides for the center back. Just teeny, make your notches super teeny, just big enough to see. And then opposite that is the center front. Bring those 2 together to find the halfway points. And the halfway point on the other side. Okay, so now the neckband is quarter marked as well. So I'll leave the t-shirt inside out. There are my 2 seams, so the notch in between is the center back, and I'll bring that to my center back notch there. So pin the center back of the band to the shirt, and then find the halfway point on the band. There it is, and go to the halfway point on the shirt. There we go. Center front to center front, and midpoint on this side to the midpoint here. Good, so now I know the neckband is evenly distributed. So now the neckband has to stretch a little bit because it's only 75% of the circumference of the neck. So it has to stretch a little bit. And look at that, my little seams are meeting up with the seams nicely. That's good. And then the rest, a little stretch, bring the edges together. That's gonna be just ducky. Good, so the neckline, I just want to give it a gentle stretch and make sure it's all coming in together nicely. There, I just want it to be, you know, comfortably in there and even. That'll do. Okay, let's go to the serger. So as I go, I want to stretch it out a little bit and make sure all three edges stay together. And I'm really not cutting off anything. I just want to go right along the edge. And that little band is wanting to roll, but I can feel it and I can correct it. I'm going to flip around so you can see better. Let's just start here. Having the band facing up makes it a little easier to make sure it's not rolling in too much and make sure I'm going evenly on the band. Can you see that little neckband? It's a little bit hard to see on camera, I think, but it's just sitting like 3/8 of an inch, a centimeter wide. I will give that a little press to make sure that sits nice, but I don't want to go to the iron yet because I don't want to erase my lines of where my elastic is going to go. So let's do the elastic next. And then I almost forgot that while I'm at the serger, I'll be taking in the sides of the t-shirt. So here I am starting down at the waist at nothing. Following my wax line to take it in the amount that I needed to at the top. And my serger is very nice and does not mind cutting off that extra for me. Not all sergers like doing that, so go easy on your serger. Don't feed it more than it can chew. It can start choking on too much fabric that it has to cut. But this old Kenmore is just a workhorse. Okay. Now I'm ready for elastic time. I'm going to start with the elastic by the neckline here. So I'm doing a zigzag stitch with the length and width both set at 3. So I'll just get my elastic starting in there with a little back tack, right like that. Once my back tack has that end of the elastic secure, then I can pick up my elastic. There's the little notch that I'm aiming for, and I can just stretch that elastic the full amount. So then on the outside, that looks kind of cute, doesn't it? On the other side of the neckline, same thing. So you notice I don't cut the elastic until I'm done, because you need to be able to hold that end and pull it tight. So if you're dealing with just a little short piece of elastic, it makes it like kind of impossible. So once the back tack is done, find my notch and pull tight, like pull as much as I can pull. Good. That is that. The next thing I'm ready for is elastic around the whole midriff part. I drew lines about 2 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch apart. So I've got 4 lines there, and I'm just using up all kinds of bits of elastic that I have. So I have this really skinny one. I think I have enough to do 3 lines with this skinny elastic, and then I might use a wider elastic for the one that'll be at the waistline. These ones are more midriff. So I'll start at one of the seams, and it's the exact same process as I was doing on the neckline. So again, starting with a back tack right on my line. Then once my back tack is there, it can hold the end of the elastic, right? So now I can just stretch it and lay it right on top of my line. I want to keep the elastic maxed out the whole time. Okay, right back to where I started, back tack, and then I can cut that elastic. And then go on to the next one. So now the challenge is to keep this line smooth, right? It's only 2 centimeters away from my other elastic there, so I just need to smooth that out and go. Third time around now. Rather than having a break in the middle, I'll cut it at the seam so my back tack stays at the seam. I don't want to have a back tack like in the middle of, I don't even know if this is the front or the back. Doesn't matter. I just don't want a back tack midway. Okay, pretty good. Back to the cutting table. Okay, on the way over to the cutting table, I stopped to just try this on, and it's adorable. Like, I could just finish off the armholes in a nice way, finish off the bottom edge, and it would be just an adorable little top. It's so cute. With the neckband and that little bit of gathering right there is so nice. It really just almost squares off the neckline in a really flattering way. I think you're gonna like it. So I'm excited to show you, but let's get a couple more things done. The sleeves. I put white thread in the machine and did just a basting stitch, like regular normal straight stitch, but with a long stitch length, no back tacks, so that I can use that to make the sleeve fit this armhole. So I'll flip the body inside out, put that sleeve into the armhole. I'll just bring the seam of the sleeve to the side seam of the t-shirt, which is now just the bodice. The elastic's gonna get caught into this seam, and oh, I would have been smart to give myself a notch at the top of the sleeve. So I'll bring that notch to the shoulder seam. So I want to pin a few places around before I start pulling up that gathering stitch, if I even need to, maybe a tiny, tiny bit. I kind of was hoping that I would have to put in like a little bit of a puff at the top of the sleeve, but that's not happening. It's just fitting in there kind of okay as it is. I thought a little puff there would be cute, but I don't have the room for it. So that's how much extra there is. That is pretty teeny. And so I'm trying to bring that extra right up to be just at the top of the sleeve and just spread it around a little bit. It's pretty minimal. Hopefully both sleeves go in the same way with the same amount of extra at the top. I want to make sure I catch the end of that elastic into the seam. I think it'll just kind of anchor that elastic a bit. Okay, yeah, a very similar amount of extra here, which I'll just gather in. So I'm going to take this to the regular machine now. I'll sew around now with black thread and then try it on and make sure I'm fine before I serge those edges. So back to a regular straight stitch. And I could use a long stitch length here, like a basting stitch, to just test this out. But I think I'm just going to go for it with a regular length. And if I sew just to the inside of my gathering stitch, then I don't even have to pull it out later. I definitely don't want it to show. And then this is my last chance to make sure those gathers at the top of the sleeve are nice and even, not too bunchy. Okay, both sleeves like that, and then I'll give it another little try on. Okay, so the sleeve is sitting in there nicely with just the slightest bit of gathering at the top. It looks fine. So now I'll try it on before I serge those edges, and then it's all about the skirt. Oh my goodness, like completely adorable. Completely adorable. Look at that. That is so cute. It's so precious. The neckline is so pretty on. I could absolutely stop right there and just have a super cute top. But I'm going to persevere and make the dress because I've got all of this fabric for the skirt. So let's do it. So I played around with the pieces that I have for the skirt. It ended up, I think, looking better if the bigger print, like the new print that's not already incorporated, was on the side. And then the one that matches the sleeve would be in the center. And so over here will be the bigger print too. So I took my circumference of the bottom edge of the t-shirt and multiplied it by 1.5. So this is 18 inches on the fold. So times 2, 36, times 1.5 is 54. So basically what I need is 6 panels. So 3 on the front and 3 on the back. And I want them to gather a little bit. Just 1.5 times the distance is minimal gathering. It's not a lot. I really don't want it puffy from the waist. I don't think that'd be very flattering for me. So 1.5 times this amount, it gives me the 54 inches. 54 divided by the 6 panels is 9 inches per panel. So that's nice and easy. This one, I've got it folded into 4 nice and even. This one has kind of like shirt tails where it's a bit longer at the center front and center back that I've got folded here. That's the center front and center back folded together. And then over here is the side seam. So it's a little shorter at the side. So that works out great for me putting this on the side, right? It's going to kind of just continue like that. That's going to be good. So I've just flipped this whole piece inside out, and this is the side seam that I'm keeping. I'm going to be cutting this edge where I've got it folded. So I've got both side seams together, and all I need to do to that side seam is just straighten it out. Like, it curves in here at what was the waist, but now my waist is going to be up here. So I just need to straighten that seam out. That'll be easy. And then I will just cut it at 9 inches, which is nearly the whole thing. So actually I'm just going to be cutting up this fold, but I'm wondering how flattering that's going to be. I really don't know. And then right across. Okay, so with it just like that, I'm just going to cut right up the center. Okay, so this is all that's left of the one tunicky dress. And then here is the other tunicky dress. So I'll flip that inside out as well. But now from this one, I just need the center panels. So remember, this is the one that goes a little bit longer toward the center. So this longer edge is the length that I want this panel to be. So I'm just lining up the bottom edges together. That is the height of the whole thing. I think I'll just cut right beside the seam, just through the single layer. I think this makes sense. You can tell that I'm assuming I'm going to need pretty much the whole width here. Now, this being the center panel, it should be symmetrical. I can't just slant in on one side. So if I fold this in half, maybe I can just do this a little more easily. I could undo that dart, but it might end up looking funny. Like, you might be able to see that there had been some stitching there. No, I think I can undo that dart without it showing traces of its former self. Okay, so the dart is out. I really should take a second to just press that flat. The dart is removed and pressed flat, and that looks just fine. And so now this is basically what I have to work with. So I've got it folded in half, so I know I'm getting symmetrical pieces. So now that it's on the fold, I just want 4.5 inches wide, and that can just taper right down to the bottom. Okay, that's going to be fine. So basically, here is the skirt part of my dress, inside out. Just looking at this, don't you agree? It's going to be a lot more flattering if this piece tapers too. Like, a straight piece being gathered is just not anywhere near as flattering as it tapering up into the waist, right? Okay, let's put these two back together again and taper a bit off those. So that gives me a little less than 1.5 times the gathering, but I think that is still fine. I think that less gathering and more tapering is going to be better. What I'm wondering is, will I wear this more as a dress or as 2 separate pieces? Because I really do like the little top. So I'm going to play around with that. So in the meantime, while I'm playing, I'm going to just close up the top of the side seams here. And if I do put this together as a dress, then I would be sewing it about here. So I think I need 1 more line of the elastic there. So I wish I had drawn 4 lines, but I didn't. Okay, let's get that done. To draw that 4th line, I'm stretching it over my ironing board and trying to line that all back up nice. So I'll just do that 4th round of elastic. Okay, I have literally 2 inches of elastic to spare. That was lucky. These are the skirt side panels, and now I just want to finish off the top where I tried to straighten it out. I did kind of a crappy job cutting that, but I can correct it with my stitching. And then just a little tiny bit of serging there. So this is one side of the skirt. Doesn't matter if it's left or right, but then I'll take one of the center panels and go right side together with it. And I want to definitely match up that little hem at the bottom. At the top, I don't mind if there's a little difference, but at the bottom hem, definitely want to nail that together. I like mixing prints. I think that's really a fun combo. It's all the same colors, just a different scale. So then the other side goes on, and again, nailing together that bottom hem. And I think I will do this up on the serger. So 4 seams to join these panels together. Okay, let's go to the serger. I'm going to start at the top, and if you watch my videos, you know already the trick I'm going to use at the bottom of that finished hem. That is serging together really, really nicely. No problem there at all. So I don't want a serger tail to have to deal with here. So I'm going to just go until my needles clear the edge. I can even walk with the wheel until my needles are off the fabric. Lift up, wiggle, wiggle, and flip. And then come back up the other way just for a couple inches. So no serger tail at the end, nicely finished. Looks good. 3 more like that. Okay, and then just like that, the skirt section of the dress is done. So I think I'll baste the 2 together and then see if I like it as a dress or if I'd rather keep it as 2 separate pieces. So I just want to give myself a little notch in the center of the 2 center panels just to quarter mark the whole skirt. It's already got a side seam, so I just need a small notch at the center front and center back. And I just want to find the center front and center back of the bodice. The skirt doesn't really have a back and a front. It's the same, so it doesn't really matter what sides I put with what. So the bodice is right side out. It's going to go inside the skirt so that they are right side together, side seam to side seam. And then my center notch goes to the center notch on the skirt. And if I like it as one piece, a one-piece dress, then I think I will end up needing to run elastic along this seam as well. That's going to have to be elasticized. But obviously, I don't want to do that until I'm sure I like it. Because right now, I'm thinking that it might just make a really cute 2-piece set with a skirt and separate top. And I might wear it more like that. So we shall see. Okay. Back to the machine. So just a long stitch length all the way around as like a temporary stitch to just test it out. Okay, so I'll try this on now and make a decision about 1-piece or 2-piece. Okay, so what do you think? I'm loving the top, but I don't think it works for me as a dress. I feel really frumpy in this. So I think I'll move on to my other idea of just keeping this as a top and then turning this into a skirt. Whether I end up wearing that skirt or not, I still don't know. But the top is kind of short, so I have to add on some of what I have left, just like a little either band or ruffle from this scrap that's left over onto the bottom of the top. I think the top has potential. So let's go with this as a top and we'll see if I can rescue the bottom half. If not, if I just end up with a top, I'm still gonna be happy because I think this really is cute. So basically this panel is what I have left to work with. And so there's a seam here and a seam here. This is gathered in, so it's kind of not so easy to work with. So I'm gonna cut right below the seam to release the gathers. And then give that a quick press. So now with those gathers mostly pressed out, this piece is easier to work with. I'd rather not have a seam in my little band or ruffle. And so I think what I'm going to do is fold this into 4. And then this is what I have to work with. And I think that making it a curved piece will be the cutest and most flattering. So I know that my t-shirt was basically 18 inches, this being on the fold twice, so I need 9 inches here in a little curve. So I'll take my red ruler, find the 9 inches, bend it like that. Another time where I wish I had 3 hands. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is actually brilliant. Oh, look at that. If I soak the edge and then bend this, there's my 9 inches. Well, it kind of worked. It worked well enough. Okay, I definitely want to have right angles at both sides. And then my maximum depth would be 3.5 inches. So I'm going to mark around 3.5 inches. Good. That'll be, I think, a sweet little ruffle. I'm going to give a little notch to mark center front and center back. Okay, so that, I think, has the potential to be really cute. I think the top as just a top is the way to go. And this little ruffle is looking cute. Just doing that basting stitch though, it kind of automatically pulled it up more than I need. So I'm sort of shuffling that back. I don't know, it looked like it was going to be far too big, but now I think it's just right. So here we go. Right sides together, matching up side seams. Center front notch to the center front notch. Doing those little quarter marks just makes it so much easier to make sure that something like this flounce goes on evenly. And yeah, I think I just need to break that stitch. Ooh, there we go, because I think it was pulling it up too much. So I'm just breaking that ease stitch, like literally just snapping the thread to make it release, because that ease stitch was pulling it up more than I need. But that seems to be working all right. Just a little like that, and we're good. I'm just going to sew around at the 15 line or 5/8 line and try that on again. Make sure I'm happy. I'll pop it on, and then if I like it, I will serge it. Not quite. Not there yet. It's just hitting too low. Like I think I need to sew it right on top of that elastic line. It's just like a little bit below my waist, so it's still not good. I am glad that I used that long basting stitch because it pulls out relatively easily. I'll just try it a little higher up. And I think I should try one more time with the skirt. I think if the skirt is going to be at all flattering, it's got to be a lot more tapered at the top, like not so much fullness at the top. That was just really not flattering. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and cut a little bit off. Basically, I'll be cutting this last little bit right in half. Easier said than done. So if you've watched my videos, you know that I don't give up very easily. And even when something is not looking like I was hoping, I just keep trying. I'm not saying I never give up. Sometimes you really do have to cut your losses, like if it really is a disaster. But I think that this has enough potential that it's worth trying a couple different things before I give up. And if you enjoy the process, then that's a win-win, right? Sometimes people think it's more trouble than it's worth, but if you enjoy the process and if you're having fun, then the end result isn't the only goal. Do you know what I mean? You can enjoy the process even if you don't end up loving the final product. And there's always learning. Learning is always taking place. Always you're building your skills and getting better and better and more creative. So let's give this a try. Okay, so I've got the elastic side up so that I can keep an eye on it and just sew right beside the elastic. Okay, one more try. That made a nice difference, just moving it up like that. And so it's cute enough. I've left it on even though it's not quite finished. I think I'm going to have one more try with the skirt. It really was not flattering, but I think it was just too much fullness around the top. So I'm going to taper in each seam, taking 1 inch off the top of each seam. So I pinned it like that and made sure I can still slide it over my hips. So no problem. So now I just want to taper off 1 inch. And before I move it, I'll just put a few pins in each seam. It would be smart for me to press these flat because remember I pressed the seam allowance going in one direction. So it would be smart to press it flat first, but I only have so much patience. Okay, now these are all pinned and ready to go. So I'll just take this to the serger and reserge all 6 of those seams, try the whole thing on again, and see how we are. Do that 5 more times. Okay, I tried it on and it is cute. So I went ahead and I serged that seam. And now I just need to finish off the bottom edge of this flounce. But I don't want it to get any shorter. In fact, I wish it was a tiny bit longer. So what I'm going to do is just a narrow hem on the serger. So to do that, I've removed the left-hand needle and the left-hand thread. So the tension on this one doesn't matter because there's no needle here. The right-hand needle's at 4 and then 6 and 4 on the tension. The stitch length is set to R for rolled, and it's like makes a really tight little stitch, and the differential feed at 1. So I'll just be going right along the edge, not taking off any of the length, but giving a nice little finish that's really fast. Can you see that edge? Isn't that nice? Like that just is lickety split and looks really pro. It looks good, right? So to finish off the skirt, I'm just going to use an elastic. This is a 1 inch wide, 2.5 centimeter wide elastic, and it fits snugly on my waist. And I've joined it at the ends and I've quarter marked it. So it's divided into 4 equal sections, and so is my skirt because I've got the 2 side seams and a notch at center front and center back. So I'll put the overlap of the seams to the center back, and I'm going to be attaching this elastic right to the top edge using my serger. It's a nice fast way of inserting an elastic, but it's not adjustable. Once it's in, and so that's why I prefer the elastic to be comfortably snug on my waist, because I can always do a triple zigzag on it to get it to lie a little more relaxed, like a little looser, but I can't do anything to tighten it up. So I want this kind of comfortably snug. Okay, I just pin it at all 4 quarter points, and I'm taking it directly to the serger. So I'll start at that overlap. Doesn't really matter where I start. So once I got that end secured, now I just pick up behind and I pick up my next pin, and then I'm just going to stretch. So it's essentially the same idea as the elastic that I put on the top. Right, sewing it on or serging it on in that stretched out position, and then it relaxes and gathers everything in. So again, picking up the next pin and stretching. And you notice my left hand is sort of like, that's what's manipulating the fabric. I'm holding the elastic straight, and then my left hand can kind of pull the fabric a little bit more so that a straight edge lines up with my elastic. Around like that, and then I just fold it down and straight stitch it on the regular machine. Alright, so I just turn the elastic down and stick a pin in all 4 of those quarter points. So the fabric wraps snugly around the elastic. The elastic can't twist and fold, it just keeps it really nice and flat like this. So I'll start at that overlap, which is going to be the center back. I'll just start there, and with just a regular straight stitch, I'm going to be sewing on top of the serging. And again, I want to start with my back tack, and then as soon as my back tack is done, then I can pick up behind and pick up my next pin and stretch. And again, it's my left hand that's going to be like pulling the fabric so that it's laying smoothly around that elastic. I don't want any extra, I don't want any bunchiness there, just nice and smooth, and then go. Next pin, pull, and make sure it's wrapping snug around that elastic. And just like that, this skirt is done. That elastic technique, I much prefer that rather than making a casing and feeding the elastic through. It just goes way faster, and it's a lot neater looking. Like the casing itself just looks a lot smoother and kind of tighter. It's not mushy and sloppy looking, right? Looks good. Okay, so this is the finished product for the top, and I think it's really sweet. I love this whole neckline, the little gathers there, the sleeves. I'm in love with all of this part. I am not 100% sure about this little peplum. I've never been kind of a peplum person, but I think that just with a pair of jeans, it is a cute little top that I will definitely wear. I could wear this to work, out to lunch with a friend. I think that I will definitely wear the top. Let's see now. I haven't tried it on with the skirt. Let's see now if I can make that work. okay, I think it's kind of cute with the skirt. Truth be told, I don't know if I would wear the skirt very often, but it's nice to know it's an option. And of course, I could throw a black sweater with this skirt and make the skirt a feature on its own. But the top is the winner for me, for sure. I love the sleeve. Don't you love that? And this whole neckline, that's a winner. I'm really happy with all of this. So let me know what you think in the comments. Skirt? No skirt? I'm not too sure. I think for today, the top is the winner, and I'm happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and it's always so nice to have you right to the end. I appreciate that so much. And until next time on Catherine Sews, you take care.